Welcome back to Lawmakers. I'm Donna Lowry. This weekend, it's time to spring forward and lose an hour of sleep, and it's hard to find anybody who's happy about that. Daylight Saving Time 2021 begins on Sunday at 2 a.m., and that's when we move our clocks forward. We're going to talk about that and more with my guest, Representative Wes Cantrell of Woodstock, who has a bill about it. So I'm happy that you're here. Welcome to Lawmakers. So there have been a number of confusing stories and confusing headlines about the bill being considered at the Capitol. So we're going to try to break it down, share a little bit in some graphics. First, we can keep spring forward and fall back and make no changes. Or second, keep spring forward and fall back, then go to the daylight saving time year-round when Congress allows it. Third, go to standard time year-round now, then do daylight saving time year-round when Congress allows it. And finally, go to standard time year-round now. So the second option is reflected in your bill, HB 44. So tell us about it.
Well, you know, when I got elected 7 years ago, one of the things that people immediately began to talk to me about was, can't you do something about this time change? And really there's two issues. Time change is one issue, and 90% of people hate the current system. They tell me all the time, please just pick one or the other. Let's just stop this ridiculous time change. And then the second issue is, if we were to get rid of time change, which time zone do you prefer? Daylight saving time or standard time? And about 70% of people prefer daylight saving time over standard time.
It's kind of interesting. There's a Senate bill, and it's SB 100, and it was carried by Senator Ben Watson of Savannah, and he's a primary care physician and is pushing the legislation from a medical perspective.
The Journal of Sleep Medicine back in September, just a few months ago, came out in a position relating that we should not be going back and forth. We shouldn't be losing sleep for 2 weeks in the spring and 2 weeks in the fall. Now, they recommended going to standard time year-round. You know, that's one aspect of it, and that's one thought process. You know, many people will say they would rather go to daylight savings time year-round. And as a matter of fact, you know, a bipartisan effort is now in front of Congress. I talked to my congressman and his chief of staff. They're working in the House on it. They're also working in the Senate on it. The other health benefits, too, just besides sleep, the health benefits relating to heart attacks. There's an increased number of heart attacks in that 2-week period in the spring. There's also a study to show about grumpy judges. So they hand out harsher sentences for that 2 weeks after the spring change. You know, you don't need to be a scientist or a physician to say that changing your sleep cycle is not good for you. I mean, we all experience that. We're going to be experiencing that here next week.
Yeah, we all will experience it. That's for sure. Grumpy judges? That's true, right?
Yeah, the research shows that the Monday after spring forward is the worst day to be in court because the judges tend to hand out harsher sentences. And we all assume it's because they got an hour less sleep for the weekend.
Yeah. Senator Watson said you two have collaborated a little bit on this.
We have. I had this bill 3 years ago. In fact, I had several bills. I had the standard time bill, I had the daylight saving time bill, and I had a bill to put it on the ballot so that Georgians could speak into the process. Because I just wanted to get the conversation started because there's a lot of confusion over the issue. So Dr. Watson and I, he had an interest in it on the Senate side. So we've been kind of working together, conspiring together to continue the conversation. And then last year we passed an urging resolution to try to get Congress to give us this authority. I happened to see Senator Rubio about 5 months ago, and he said everybody up there wants to do this, but the argument is, with all the important things you guys have got to be doing, why are you worried about time change? And, you know, they don't understand that time change is important to a lot of people. And we can do the big things like COVID relief and time change at the same time.
Well, there's another area that is another group of people in this state interested. In the House, you have Representative Sam Watson, and he's no relation to Senator Ben Watson. And he would like to see daylight saving time year-round because he's a farmer. He says farmers need daylight to last later in the day.
When we're harvesting, we need more daylight hours in the evenings. Sometimes, you know, in the mornings when it's cooler, we have to wait for our crops to dry. Bell pepper, for instance, we can't pick bell pepper wet, you know, especially if it rain at night. Cotton is the same way. You need to wait for the crops to get dry. And so sometimes that's usually not till mid-morning. And so once everybody gets going, and you want to have those longer hours because the crop, you have a certain number of days to get it harvested, and you never know what's going to happen. You never know with the weather. When we get going, we want to go as long as we can and get as much done as possible before the sun goes down, because then you start getting into those safety issues of moving equipment and operating them in the field when you can't see, similar to the issues that Atlanta may have with the commute. But again, a lot of times in the evenings, we try to move equipment. So having those extra hours, to move stuff, maybe when the traffic is down and people are at home and it's safer to be on the roads with the large equipment that we have.